welcome to my channel, and I wanted to talk to you about something. I actually sat down to adjust my camera in my office with my background to see if, to see what it looked like. So I actually kind of spilled my guts on a topic that's really important to me. And so when you watch this, because I don't want to re-record it, it was on the fly. It wasn't scripted or anything. I didn't have notes. I kind of just talked about it. So it's more of a story time video. And you really only see like this much of my head as compared to now. You see a little bit more of me. And I really don't want to redo that video. So if you're on the way to work or you're doing your dishes or doing your makeup, just kind of set your phone down. You don't have to watch me. I'm not showing you anything other than this much of my head. And just listen to what I really have to say, and then leave your comments and thoughts and experiences and whatever down in the comments below. I would love to hear your perspective on things, especially if you deal with children with special needs. And again, you'll know why I did that, because I don't like using those types of terms. But you'll know that when you actually watch the clip. So I hope you enjoy it. Give this video a thumbs up if you know someone that's struggling with children of these types of abilities. Then share with them. Share in your pages. Share wherever you would like to. Just if you do have anything negative to say, just kind of hit the thumbs down button. I don't care, but I don't necessarily want to read it, and that sort of kind of negativity. And you just heard my AC come on, so we will see you in the next one. Hope you enjoy. Bye. Hey guys, it's Ashley, and I am back at you with another video. And I am so excited to talk about this one. It's really been a struggle, so I really want to be able to share it with you guys. And kind of let you know what I've been through with this, and maybe some tips and tricks to even help yourself. So I hope you enjoy the video. If you do, make sure you like and subscribe. Please leave your thoughts and comments down below. I love seeing them, and looking at other people's perspective is a huge thing for me. I love conversation and deep conversation at that. So if you will, just leave me some comments on what your thoughts are, and maybe we can chit chat in the comments down below. So to get into it, this is a video about dealing with children with ADHD or other needs. And I really don't like using special needs or mentally ill or mentally disabled. I really just don't. They almost seem offensive in my own mind, because I deal with personal things as it is that would be considered along those lines. So I really don't want to kind of use those types of words. So they might not be the politically correct words. But this is just, I'm not going to necessarily use them. So, but that's kind of what I mean. But my oldest daughter, she is 10 going on 11 in May, which we're super excited about. And I'm sure she is too. She actually deals with ADHD. And then some more of emotional, I guess, behavior or issues, I guess you could call it. And then I have a 9-year-old son who is also ADHD, but he also has been diagnosed with OCD and SPD. SPD is sensory processing disorder, and we are checking him for Asperger's as well as autism, which both kind of intertwine with each other, but Asperger's would be a little bit easier to actually diagnose than maybe autism, because it's such a big spectrum. So we're kind of going that route, and we're working on that. He actually starts up his occupational therapy for his ADHD, sensory, and OCD next week. We stopped for like 6 months, and now we are going back. So on that note, I just want to kind of talk to you guys a little bit, and this could be like a 5-part kind of video So I'm going to try and keep it short and simple, but again, it may be a couple parts. So I'm just going to kind of start off at the beginning. We noticed these signs in my daughter. Oh, I can't remember the age. I have 4 kids, so I really can't remember the age, so don't look at me badly for that. But it was when she was around like 3 or 4, we really started noticing. She would have night terrors. She did suffer from sleep apnea, and she still does, but it's not an issue now. Like it was then. She would stop breathing and stuff like that. It was really scary. We had started sleep studies really early on, and that is actually one of the things that her dad and her grandfather deal with is sleep apnea. So very scary stuff. In the same sense, she was having like night terrors and issues like that where she would get up screaming and stuff like that, or she wouldn't go to sleep. Or if she went to sleep, she'd get back up at like midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. We actually had issues of her escaping our home, and we had it down to Fort Knox in that beast, and she would still find a way to get out. And when you're dealing with 2 kids at the time that have that behavior, you know, it can kind of go unnoticed when you don't have door alarms, window alarms, anything like that, and just basic locks. For them to get out. They're very smart kids, let me just tell you. So right around that same area, my son would have been around 2, and he was also showing those signs. So it wasn't until my daughter was in 2nd grade and my son would have been around kindergarten that we really noticed and had been mentioned that they could have ADHD. Around the age of 3, my son started, I think when his sensory really developed was he started where he wouldn't eat meat. And I'm not a big meat eater, so I just let it slide. I wasn't going to pressure it on him because, again, I'm not a big meat eater, so I wasn't going to do that to him. So that's kind of when if I can go back and look now, here he's 9, so around 6 years ago, this is kind of when those started happening. And I remember, you know, being cool with that, no big deal, and it's kind of declined ever since. Now he is extremely picky because of his sensory issues, so it's really hard to get him to eat different types of things or even really try it. He's kind of on, like, I wouldn't say a strict diet as per doctor or a therapist or by mom, but he's by his own diet where he only will eat like peanut butter Nutella, sandwiches, cereal is something, sometimes corn dogs. It's really just a lose-lose really, because I want him to have good smoothies, I want him to have healthy food, and for the most part he loves fruits. Not so much vegetables and not so much meat. He loves junk food, of course. But we've tried a whole lot of different things, and maybe if you want the earlier years, you know, kind of really leading up in detail of where we are now, I would love to do a video on it if you guys were interested, but I think I'm just going to kind of fast forward to what we deal with now, or at least up until about a year ago. So within this past year, year and a half, maybe about 2 years now, since he was around 7, almost 8, we started therapy. He was going to just a behavioral therapist. He had a lot of mental issues, and he really didn't know how to respond to certain daily things that would maybe make him upset and stuff like that. So we took both of them actually to therapy for that, because they were both kind of dealing with the same issues, but my son was a little more violent towards himself and sometimes others. Both of them mentally were kind of unstable, and we saw a regular therapist for a little while before we asked for a psychiatrist, and it took me a long time. I want you to understand that the decision I'm about to tell you that we made wasn't a very easy one. It took me a very, very long time due to my own history, not say for me, but for my family and dealing with addiction and stuff like that, that willing to medicate was not really an option for a very long time. But I got to a point where I was lost. At this time, I had 3 kids, 1 on the way, and he was already having self-harm and harming others, and I was honestly scared to have, you know, my 4th son and how he would react, especially this was the beginning of really understanding him and really kind of figuring out things. This was still like tippy top, like very start of everything. So it was really hard. And I was scared that, you know, if the baby was crying a lot and things like that, that maybe he would act out in violence because of that, because he doesn't know how to process it. He doesn't know how to handle it. So after a very long time of contemplating back and forth medication, we decided to try it. And one of the worst ones, and I know, so please don't give me any judgment. If you want to have something negative to say, just give me a thumbs down and kind of like move along. I've already beat myself up a whole lot for this, and I still do, even though we continue to take this medication. I am trying to slowly get him out on a natural supplement based, as well as oils and anything else like that that I can do that isn't going to have long-term effects or harm or withdrawal or whatever. But we decided, they decided after we were going to a psychiatrist that is actually able to write prescriptions, that we would give him Adderall. And at this time, both him and my daughter were put on it. And they were put on a lower dosage. I think we started out at 5. He has went up to 20, and that's where he's at now, almost a year and a half, 2 years later. My daughter has been back down to a 10. I think her highest was 15. Now, there's a lot of days, I want to be honest, that I don't give them their medicine. But some days, it's just rough days where that medicine really changes. And the reason I decided to continue to do it was because it was night and day. And if you've ever had a child struggle with emotional issues and just everything, and you don't understand, then having that, whether it's good or bad, it was a relief for me. In that time, though, he's went to 2 psychiatrists, in which I left the first one because, I'm going to be blunt, he was an ass. He was just a jerk. He was like, oh, well, you need to make them do their homework and stuff. So he wasn't even understanding, even though he had a degree. And I wasn't looking for that. I was looking to understand him and really get to know what he dealt with on his level. And that way it would better guide me to where I am now. But we'll get to that in a second. So it was night and day. It helped tremendously within the first week of him taking it during school. They saw a huge difference. And so that was kind of an eye-opener, because it wasn't just us directly seeing it. It was his school, and he was focusing. He was doing his work. It was great. So we kept doing it. Sorry, you're going to hear my AC, so hopefully I can talk loud enough for you to hear. So anyway, then after a couple months went by, probably about 6 months, because last year we started occupational therapy, and we started, I want to say, around August, or it was maybe before, because we stopped for a couple months, and now we're just going back. Next week is his first appointment. But anyway, we go there, and after my own research, after YouTubing, reading all the information, talking to some people that I could, and really taking him into these therapies and understanding. Once we got to occupational therapy, we then later found out that he was sensory processing disorder. He had that, and he has OCD. And we actually found that out within the first couple visits. So that really was a big eye-opener for me personally. But since we've left his psychiatrist, because I mean, I don't want to spend more time in the waiting room than I do in the actual appointment. Again, I want answers, I want better understanding, I want techniques to help him. I want to get him off medication. And we've actually just started Focus Factor, and that works kind of well, especially with a lower dose of Adderall, or That mixed in with doing lavender and cedar wood and a couple other essential oils that I use with doTERRA, it really helps with his moods and being more relaxed and different things like that. So a combination of things that we're doing right now. And so anyway, we go to occupational therapy. I go with him. I went with him every week. He was going once a week. We had the option to go twice, but because it was across town, we were just going once a week. And it was 30 minutes every week. So I actually pulled them out in November of school, and by this time he was done with occupational therapy. We hadn't gone in months. I really didn't need to. I've learned so much on many different levels, where even the occupational therapist asked me if, you know, I had thought about being like a psychiatrist, psychologist, or a therapist in my own ways because of what I know and my broad spectrum of knowledge when it deals with behavior and stuff like that. So anyway, enough about that. So I was very confident that, you know, not going for a little while would be fine. And then I pulled them out in November to start homeschooling, and it's been actually really good. I want to tell you, if you ever do decide to do homeschooling, whether your child is normal or anything else, just roll with it is my method and my quote to myself every day. If something goes wrong, just roll with it, because not every day is going to be perfect. And I have 4 kids ranging from almost 11 to almost 2. So, and 2 of those, almost 3, already have ADHD and other issues. And it's funny, the occupational therapist asked me about my 4-year-old. He just turned 5 in January, but at the time he was 4, and I'm like, don't even. That's a whole nother story. If you want to know more about that, just say 5-year-old and therapist what, or something like that down in the comments so I know what you're talking about. But anyway, so we've been doing that, and we do different things. But my number one key that I want you to find in this video, whether you have a child with ADHD, ADD, Asperger's, autism, just anything that they're not considered normal and that you have everyday struggles with, understand them. Understand what they go through every single day, every situation. If they are completely irate because they don't want to wear a certain socks, and again, we had the situation where we didn't know he was SPD. We didn't know that this was what it was, and I found out a lot about myself. I have OCD. I think I have a little ADHD. You might notice from some videos maybe. And I do have a touch of SPD. So a lot of that is definitely coming from my genes and my husband's genes and our family histories too. But I think there's other factors, and I'm not going to talk about that. But anyway, so to get back to it, just really understand them. My son would be like he was dying if he had to wear normal socks. And when I mean normal, I mean something that fits like it's supposed to, and it's not too big or not too tight. And every day was a hassle. He was late every single day, which also made my daughter late, which also made my husband late for work. Every single day. They had so many tardies. We had talked to the principal so many times, and of course they really didn't understand, even though they had the paperwork. Even though they knew they had the diagnosis, they still didn't understand. So now I make sure that he only has the socks he loves. I will not force him to put on socks because now I understand. So take what I was saying, take something you absolutely hate, okay? Or you absolutely like something that like grinds your gears, and imagine being forced to do it. So like I did an example for my husband, trying to get him to understand. So he's terrified of like flying bugs and bees and stuff like that. So I told him, I was like, imagine you were stuck in a tank with bees and how that would make you feel when there's just one around, but imagine it magnified by like 100 or whatever. And how would you feel? You would have anxiety out the roof. You would be scared to death. You would be freaking out. You would be crying and hysterical and just like freaking the hell out, okay? So imagine that being him wearing certain pants, certain shoes, certain socks, or not liking certain textures, or even liking textures. Like, I love soft things, and this is where it really brought it full circle for me. Like, I love feely soft stuff, like soft blankets, soft pillows, soft shirts, nightgowns, robes, whatever, like the really super plush soft stuff. And it's funny because I realized it way after, but my husband makes fun of me because if we're in Walmart, I will go and I have to feel it, and if I don't, it's like, it almost like it's killing me inside. If I don't, like, it's like I have to. It's just one of those things. So anyway, that really brought it full circle for me.
Segment
and I remember
make sure you hit the
notification bell so you will get notified when I post new videos. We're going to be doing a wide range of videos from gardening to cooking to parenting to mom life to wife life to I don't even know. I have so many things that I do and so many different aspects to come at you with. So hopefully you'll enjoy that, that it's more of an eclectic channel. And if you do, let me know down in the comments if that is what you would prefer, or if not, I'm sorry, that's what I plan to do. But again, I hope you like this video. Please share with your friends if you know others that have children like this, or even adults that suffer from this. Understanding is the absolute #1 key in dealing with these types of situations, and patience is also #2 on that list. But understanding, I think, from everything that I went through with my children and other family, dealing with other things, understanding is a huge must when overcoming just simple differences and little hills of frustration. That is absolute #1. So research whatever you're looking for as far as disabilities or depression or whatever it is. Research and talk with people who actually have it as maybe an adult form, and kind of see what they go through. So yeah, I hope you liked it. Bye!